Hello, everyone. I am Daniel, and once again, we're going to take a look at the entirety of one of the Evergreen Investigator decks. This time, it's the Rogue deck. It is André Patel, the film star, and this guy looks really interesting, really cool, but also very simple. Let's talk through it and then look at every one of the cards and kind of contextualize what does this deck bring to the table? Does it showcase what rogues are all about? Is this a coherent piece that you can just pick up and play? Let's get into it. So first off, the stat line 2-3-2-5. That's actually quite good, right? When we saw Winifred, her monoclass green deck from chapter 1 was very similar. It was a little riskier. It was 1-3-3-5. This guy's going to be more inclined to take some investigate actions rather than fight, but he's got the 2 willpower, which is better than not, right? Especially when what he really wants to do is succeed at actions and succeed by a lot. You're going to see some cards that add things together to help him do that, but also failing is bad. It's another theme that we've seen in this set. Okay, so his reaction ability: once per round, after you succeed at a skill test by 2 or more during your turn, you may take an additional action this turn. Okay, this should be really easy to do. It's already pretty easy to do this with any investigator, I think, especially if you're playing on a difficulty level that is standard. When you get up to hard or expert, harder, much harder to do this, but we're expecting in this set to have some tools to do it. Now, Succeed by 2 is a very time-honored tradition in Rogues. In Chapter 1, it was a whole archetype, and we're not surprised to see this basically be Succeed by 2 the investigator. In fact, Winifred wasn't too different in that respect. It's just that her ability didn't care about that, but a lot of cards that came in her deck did. So what we've learned, I think, from chapter 1, if you're doing any sort of Succeed by 2 stuff, is that you need an enabler. In other words, a way to help yourself succeed by 2, because that's not a given, right? Passing skill tests in this game is really just a binary yes or no. Sometimes scenarios do care about, or enemies care about you succeeding by a certain amount, but it's not that common. So it's really just on some player cards that want you to push your skill value even higher, and then hopefully, based on your token pull, succeed by more than just the skill test. So succeeding by 2 needs a little bit of an enabler, needs ways of actually making this happen more often than just sometimes randomly. The payoff is on Andre Patel's card. Getting an extra action to give yourself 4 total during a particular turn is very strong. Now, in chapter 1 and a little bit of chapter 2 we've seen already, like with Lucky Cigarette Case, there's been a payoff additionally. So other cards care about you succeeding by 2, sometimes more, and then good stuff happens. So there's like a lot of synergy across the cards that you're helping yourself in more ways than just one. It's really nice to start with something on his card because it's always in play, and you don't need to add too many other payoffs. We'll take a look at what kind of payoffs there are. Elder Sign effect +2, gain 1 resource. Seems a little out of place here. It's not. We're going to see a lot of money cards in this deck as well. 7, 8, health, sanity, spread. Not much more to say here. Again, my first read of this is it's very strong. You should be having 4 action turns to do whatever you want. We saw Trish in the core set gets an extra action just natively for evading only. A blanket do whatever you want with that action is much, much stronger and allows you to do kind of anything with the deck, which is partly why the cards in the deck don't matter that much. They do, obviously. You need to craft Succeed by 2 in a deck, but what actually comes with him, well, you can decide to have other things and his ability will work just as well, especially with the chapter 1 mindset with all the legacy cards. In chapter 2, we need to get the card pool a bit bigger to have different options for the enablers and payoffs. But just on the surface of things, if you compare this to, say, Tommy's ability, which was you must play firearms, and Carolyn's ability, which was you need a good chunk of things to heal horror, I look at this and say, pretty open. You can do kind of whatever you want. You can fight, you can evade, you can get clues. I said earlier, your tendency is probably to do some more investigate since you're starting there with a 3 rather than a 2, but it's not out of the question to do some fighting as well, especially since in the core set we saw the hammerless, which was a way to fight with your agility. So maybe we'll see more things like that. That's kind of the interesting part about these. Like, what are the archetypes that they want to seed for us and really expand upon with these investigator decks, the Evergreen decks? In chapter one, those came later in the picture, right? The greater picture. We knew kind of what those classes were all about, and they picked a pretty predominant archetype for, I would say, all four of the investigator starter decks, other than Nathaniel. Picked something that was embodying the class. So I'm hoping to see for André something that is a coherent picture there too. All right, enough yammering about here. Let's keep going. Let's look at the cards. So he's got three signatures. They're all skills, and they all essentially help him succeed by 2. I talked about these on a video before, so I won't go into it too much. But the first one here, know the exit, gives you 3 wilds if it's a attack or evasion. Know the line, and when it's on a scenario card, like a treachery or some kind of enemy in play maybe, that has a particular skill test that says do something. Parley maybe sometimes it has. Again, this is different than attacks or evasions on enemies, I'm pretty sure. And then the last one is for parlays or investigations. So all of these are giving you +3, which will help you pass the test. If you're trying to succeed by 2, it's probably good, right? But you only get these once. There's no way that we've seen so far to recur these kinds of skills rather than drawing through your deck an extra time. I don't think they're, I mean, I think they are for succeeding by 2, but I don't think you're just throwing them off on something because it's in your hand and you say, I need to succeed by 2, let's just try this. I think they're more for helping you pass tests. Because if you look at his weakness here, Weight of the World, it's a terror card, another terror weakness. Put into play in your threat area. When you fail a skill test while it's in play, take a horror, shuffle it back in your deck. He does have 8 sanity, not terrible for this to trigger, but you'd rather not fail skill tests. In general in this game, this is an extra reason not to. All right, let's keep going. I mean, I think just as that basic core, André is good. Very blank slate. What else does he come with? So first, let's talk about the succeed by 2 stuff. Some enablers, things that will add 2 of your numbers together to give you a pretty good chance at succeeding by 2. These are both reprints, and pretty important ones at that. Level 0 lockpicks came out in Winifred. Level 1 lockpicks was in the revised core, as well as Path to Carcosa way back when. And they're the same as they were before with some minor changes, I think, in the text. I'm not totally sure. I have to go back and look at them, but it's funny that lockpicks 0 says add your agility to your intellect for the test, and the other one says for this investigation instead of for the test. I don't remember if the originals were like that. It's inconsistent wording like that is all over the place. That's not a big deal. The templating for other sorts of things is where I get a little annoyed. But here, at least with the investigate, with using the parentheses and then the skill icon for intellect, makes it clear that you can only commit intellect icons to this and not agility icons. I think that's a good improvement in chapter 2. Anyway, we had previously seen Polished Cane, which is on the next page. I think it's a little disappointing to see lockpicks again. It might have been inevitable, but I think this just makes succeeding by 2 super easy. Why is that? Polished Cane, which is the fight version of this, which is new, is only for when you are dealing with enemies. So if there's not an enemy around, you can always use your lockpicks. Even if there are no clues on a location, you can just investigate and get another action. Now, that's silly. Don't do that. But usually you're going to be getting clues. Usually there are clues around. So it's always possible to add your 3 to your 5 or your 5 to your 3, get an 8. And even on a 4 shroud location, succeeding by 2, you'd have to hit the -2 or better. That's a pretty decent chance on standard. A shroud of 3, you've got a really good chance. That's all I need to say here. I've had good success with lockpick 0. I know some people don't like it, but whatever. It's just here they are. I just wish that it made it a little bit harder to succeed by 2 because I think that extra action is so good that this just seems like you have to do it. And I'd rather have seen Thieves Kit, the upgraded Thieves Kit, which we aren't seeing here, to continue the theme of using agility, which isn't here, sad to say. Polished Cane I talked about a little bit already, so this is the fight version. You add your agility to your combat for this attack. If this attack succeeds by 2 or more against a non-elite enemy, you can exhaust this to automatically evade the enemy. It's really cool because the lockpicks exhaust when you use them, and if you don't succeed by 2 or whatever, you fail, um, that's it, right? But this can do tons of attacks, and you can probably hit the succeed by 2 at some point, and that's good. I think this card is cool. It's not gangbusters because you don't do extra damage, and it does still cost 3 resources, and hand slots are something you might need to use, but I think it's good. I like this idea for Andre. I like it better than lockpicks, but enough about that. Now, what if you're trying to succeed by 2 and you just succeed by 0, by 1, and you really wish that you succeeded by more than that, by 2 or potentially more? Well, we have this extravagant ring for you, a 1 cost asset with 3 renown, and when you would succeed a skill test, you spend a renown, exhaust it, you get +2. It is Daring Maneuver, if you remember that from Chapter 1, an event on a stick. The problem is that stick is the accessory slot, and the accessory slot is taken up by Lucky Cigarette Case, the level 0 card from the core set, which gives you a card if you succeed by 2. So, I guess you're going to need to put Relic Hunter in if you want both of these things, or I don't know, you just have to go back and forth between them. But Lucky Sig Case level 0 is a great card. We're not seeing the level 3 version reprinted. Probably a good thing because that card was incredible. But as part of the Succeed by 2 archetype, why aren't you taking Lucky Cigarette Case 0? I think this thing could have lived in a slotless version. It would need maybe some other balance. Maybe it needs to cost 2. I don't know. But okay, there's also the question of how many times do you need help? If you're playing on harder difficulty levels, maybe. But are there other reasons to succeed by 2 other than Andre's ability, which again is good, very good? Lucky Sig Case in the same slot. In the Winifred deck, there were lots of other things that cared about succeeding by extra. The weapons, the events, there was other stuff going on. Let's see if we see any more. Because this is an interesting enabler, and all of these are enablers, and they have a mini payoff with them as well. All right, here's a few other enablers, just things that help you get more skill value. And center stage is cool. As we saw this one before too, in the sense that the more actions you get, the more payoff you get for the plus skill value. So even if like you're on action 3, sorry, I didn't read the card. It's been out there for a while. 3 cost asset, limit 1 per investigator, 3 renown. If there's no renown on it, discard it. Then you can play your second copy of center stage if you want. During a skill test, spend a renown. So much renown here. Exhaust this. You get +1 skill value for each action you've spent this round, including this one. Now, this will give you on your third action, for example, a +3. And maybe you haven't succeeded by 2 yet. This will probably help you do that. I like this kind of thing compared to, say, Andre's skill cards, those signature skill cards, because this is when you want it, you play it first, you can kind of figure out when you actually need that extra boost. I mean, like skill cards, but this has 3 renown, so you get to do it more than once for 1 card and 1 action. And then Easy Street, I think a really nice level 0 card skill. I would play this in any deck. Commit only to a skill test you're performing. It's got 1 wild icon base. You can only commit 1 of these per skill test, but you get an extra wild for every 3 resources you have. So it has 1. If you have 3 resources, it's an unexpected courage. Not great. But if you have, 9 resources, then you get 3 more wild icons, and level 0 plus 4, that is very good. I'm not going to play this unless I'm committed to money, though. And there's a lot of money stuff in this deck. We'll get to it later. But we're going to transition to talking about the events because the events have a little bit of Succeed by 2 built into them as well. This Easy Street card really doesn't have Succeed by 2 or Center Stage, but it kind of works with his ability, kind of. So a lot of events. There's a cycle, I suppose, of Investigate, Fight, and Evade events. That happened too in the Winifred deck, and to be honest with you, I'm not super jazzed about these when I first read them. Let's read them and talk about them. I believe they all cost 2, and they all have a level 0 version and a level 2 version. Level 2 version gets some extra icons and whatnot. I believe it's balanced like that. Anyway, this one's called Clean Sweep. It's a tactic and a trick. I think all 3 of them are. You investigate with your intellect. You get +2 for the investigation. If you discover the last clue at your location, you may move to a connecting location. All right, it kind of helps you succeed by 2, maybe. You're paying 2 for basically another copy of Perception. Kind of felt that way about the Seeker card, the one that evaded. Unflappable, I think it was. Anyway, but you probably don't want to use this unless you get that extra move out of it, which is okay. 2 resources for an action, essentially, plus the skill boost, but it could have been Perception. It feels like it's kind of on par with that sort of thing, except for the skill cards like Perception, Overpower, etc. can be combined with other cards. In other words, why am I putting this in my deck over lockpicks? You're not, right? You probably have both, but if you have lockpicks in play, am I going to spend the resources for this? I don't know. Okay, the level 2 version is actually different. This time you're investigating with your agility. Why? I don't know. Add your intellect to your agility for the test, so now it's potentially a bigger boost, right? For André, he was going at 5 for Clean Sweep 0, and it's 8 for Clean Sweep 2. So it's the difference between your intellect and your agility, essentially. After the test resolves, you may move to a connecting location. Okay, so again, maybe a big boost here that helps you succeed by 2. You get the free move regardless, which you don't always want to do, right? Discovering the last clue at your location and then moving makes a lot of sense. The upgrade where you just move, you can move, and leave clues behind, is that a bonus? I don't know. Potentially, if you have other reasons for moving back and forth between locations, then it makes sense. There better be some payoffs for that, either in this deck or somewhere else. But I don't think that's like a generically obvious thing to do. Again, the +3. Anyways, you're going at 5 versus 8. I mean, that's a lot more. Okay, let's go on to the combat one. A sudden fall. Again, tactic trick, cost 2. Fight with your combat, you get +2 for the attack. If the targeted enemy is exhausted, this attack deals +1 damage. Okay, so overpower, but also the action for the extra damage, so that's all right. But the question is like, why are you doing this? You're spending an extra action already to evade an enemy, probably, or maybe you're using the polished cane or something. I don't know, like that. It feels like there's another action there that you're not really getting out of this card because the enemy has to be exhausted. Maybe some cross team synergy. Trish will evade an enemy and then turn that into a 2 damage attack. With the lack of choices on weapons, because there's really just one plus the hammerless, then maybe you need to have this just because Gotta have something, gotta have some backup. We're so used to in chapter 1, especially thinking about the Mystics, where you can run like 3 different fight spells. Small card pool? You have to pick some weaker things. Now, event synergy makes this stuff better. So if there's some other reason to run events, period, that is worth looking at these, right? In chapter 1, in Winifred in particular, all those events were like okay in her. But once you added Chuck Fergus, once you added the fact that they return to your hand, then they start to see like an advantage over playing the weapons. There's like 2 different versions of deck you go with. You can do the weapons, or you can do the events. With the greater card pool, you had things like double double. There's other cool stuff to do. There better be something like that here, right? Level 2 version. Fight with your agility, so same thing, we get the skill swap. Is that going to be confusing for players? What do you think? Is that something that they're not going to notice right away? And then have to change what kinds of things they commit? I mean, potentially that's better given your card pool. Like that's the advantage. Like now I get to commit my agility icons. That's why I'm upgraded. Maybe. Okay, so Andre's at what, 4 for the level 0, and then he's at 7 for the level 2. If the target enemy is exhausted, it does +2 damage. Okay, we've turned the backstab from chapter 1, which was just a flat out fight using your agility, no bonus, no condition, cost you 3, did 3 damage. 3 damage feels a lot better than 2. I can tell you that makes much more sense to jump through a few hoops of including this, but the 2 experience points hurts a bit. Because it's going to help you pass the test. Like that is a legitimately important thing for an event that does a lot. An event that just does 2 damage, you can find 2 damage in a lot of places. Sudden Fall, like the level 0 one, is it's a worse sneak attack, right? Level 0 sneak attack from chapter 1 was legit 2 Teslas damage if the enemy is exhausted. This one makes you do a fight action. But we're going to allow for rebalancing. That's not an issue. The question is the overall picture balanced? I don't know. I'm not thrilled about these 2. The level 2 feels playable, but begrudgingly so. There's an evade 1. Quick exit. Kind of a strange art here. The taxi cab driver. Is that who André is playing at this point? Or he's just grabbing the taxi's car or something and speeding away. Anyway, this one is an evasion. It doesn't do any skill swap because agility is already the base thing. You get +2 for the evasion for level 0. If you succeed by 2 or more, the evaded enemy is non-elite, then that enemy doesn't ready. All right, we've seen that before. Slip away was kind of similar. There's your succeed by 2 again. I'm getting extra action with André. But it's not a bunch of help. It's a little bit of help. It's fine. I mean, I didn't love Slip Away unless I was playing a campaign that really liked it. Yeah. Okay. Level 2 version somehow adds your willpower. It's the test. It's the skill that we didn't see yet. That's also a +2 for André. So that doesn't change anything, right, for him? Oh, you don't have to succeed by 2 or more. Okay. For other investigators, maybe that's more interesting. Not a huge reason to upgrade this. And before someone says, well, the icons are super good on these in the level 2 version. Yeah, they're quite good, but you could find good icons on skill cards and not have to worry about, I don't know, I'm not paying 2 XP to put 3 willpower icons into my deck. That just seems nuts. Okay. I mean, maybe if you really need something, I don't know. That does not excite me. I fixed that problem with something else, like the center stage card. Okay. Last couple of events that don't really fit into that other cycle are right under their noses, level 0 and level 3 this time, with some different icons. Play After you successfully evade an enemy, okay, so not with your polished cane, has to be a skill test that is an evasion. Discover one clue your location. If you succeeded by 2 or more, instead get one from a connecting location. All right, this is kind of like Chapter 1's Belly of the Beast, but you had to succeed by 2 on that one, I think. That was a survivor card. This seems pretty much within Rogue's color pie for getting one clue, right? In Guardian, we had lesson learned, get attacked, get a clue, defeat an enemy for evidence, but that's Chapter 1. In Seeker, we had working a hunch, right? 2 resources, 1 clue. This has a bit of a different condition, right? You actually need to do a couple other things, but in the rogue class, that seems like something you should be able to do. So I like the versatility there. To succeed by 2, you could get a clue from somewhere else. It's hard to, I mean, you have to do it, right? You have to, if you're trying to do it, you need to do it. But you don't have to play the card, I suppose, unless you actually succeed by 2. Anyway, the level 3 version is all the same stuff, except for if you succeed by 2 or more, you get that clue from a connecting location as well. So 3 XP for this, huh? I'm sure what happened is they thought about the similar kinds of effects in Chapter 1. That would be Snitch, which was a Parley card, but was pretty easy to pull off. That got a clue from 2 different locations, cost 1 resource, level 2. And then look what I found, level 2, which we might actually see in Survivor. Who knows? That one got 2 clues, and you could decide how to split that up. It could be 2 from your location, 2 from the connecting location, 1 from each. Uh, you just had to fail by 3, which is not that hard to do if you are playing that deck. Same thing here. Like, it's not that hard to succeed by 2 if you're playing this deck. Does it warrant 3 XP? Is it easier to do than those other ones, or did they think that those were too good? I'm okay with this at 3, but I think it should cost 1 resource. The fact that everything here costs 2 means that, holy cow, we better had good ways of getting money. Remember, Chuck Fergus in Chapter 1 discounted events by tricks and tactics by 2. It's a lot of money to be printing there. And do we have the economy to do it? Is that what we have in Chapter 2? Well, let's find out. Most of the rest of this deck is about money. And that is interesting because, yes, it is involved with this event style play that we just talked about. But otherwise, big money decks, right, were a different archetype. And those two need an enabler and a payoff. Enabler is ways to get money, especially burst. You need to get, like, remember in Chapter 1, we had Hot Streak that got you 7 resources. Emergency Cash gets you 3. Okay, out the door is a skill card that has an agility and wild icon. It's a Gambit. After out the door is committed to skill test. Performing investigator gains 2 resources. If the skill test fails, they lose 2 resources. Don't fail. Okay, it's fast gain 2. If you're failing, if you're drawing the auto fail, that's what you signed up for as a rogue, right? Rogues hate the auto fail, but you know what? That is part of the game, and that means that the things that the success that they push, right, has to make sure that all the bad things that happen when you gamble are worth it. It's going to happen. You're going to draw the auto fail on this, and you're going to say, "Whoops," but actually you didn't lose anything, right? You only lost the opportunity for the 2 resources. Instead, you just didn't get them. Compare that with Chapter 1's card, Watch This, which forced you to commit your own resources into the test to get them back. This one just says fast 2, and potentially during the skill test, you could launder those resources into something else. Put it into one of those pay to improve your skill value cards, silver tongued in Rogue. So you can use those resources during the skill test. That's kind of cool, right? Maybe in Legacy you can like put those resources on your embezzled treasure, whatever it might be. But You didn't have to spend your own resources to play this. Then there's a level 1 version. And this one has all the same numbers, but they're doubled. Gain 4. This is fast gain 4. And don't forget that there's 2 icons here. There's a wild icon, there's an agility icon. This is just helping you pass the test potentially too. So it's not just I play a fast economy card, but rather it's presumably you're using it to help yourself either succeed by 2 for André or some other card, or just pass the test entirely. This is a great card. Like maybe the best resource generating card for the XP cost that we've seen ever. It's reminiscent of Watch This, right? There's some similarities there in the gamble, but for 1 XP, this is wild. I mean, even the level 0 one is wild. I mean, you're getting 2. Watch This level 0 in Legacy got 3 potentially, but you had to succeed by 1. This just means you succeed by 0, so it's a little bit of a give and take there, and you can commit this to other kinds of things that you couldn't with Watch This. Level 1 out the door it's very strong. Well, I hope there's other cards that are similar you might want to use those resources for. Let's take a look. I mean, the weird part here is they reprinted Watch This. I just spent a bunch of time comparing the two. Obviously, I knew this, but when these were spoiled last week, people spent the whole time talking about Watch This before we knew it was actually going to be reprinted. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird to reprint a very good card. I like the card. I'm glad it's still around, but it's weird to reprint it in the exact same set as something that is, I'm not going to say better, 100% better, but it's safer, I think. It just feels like it's a side grade, which is the kind of thing they should be doing with these Chapter 2 cards, and they just reprint it. It's like, okay, I guess there weren't enough skill cards that got you resources in this in this environment, so let's just bring back an old favorite. I don't know. Contingency level 3. This is a skill card that has only 2 icons on it, and we've seen that show before. It better do something good, right? Well, if it's committed to a skill test targeting an enemy, so only an evasion, or maybe a parlay, an attack, after revealing chaos tokens, you may spend 3 resources to cancel a revealed token, return it to the chaos bag, and reveal a new one. So you're spending yourself 3 XP and 3 resources, maybe, to redraw an auto fail potentially. We had a card like this. It was called Lucky Dice. And no one really played it after a while. And this one, I believe, let you redraw non-auto fails for 2 resources. And it was a level, it was exceptional, I think. So it was 4 XP. This is not great. I don't know what you're replacing in your level 0 deck for this. Unexpected Courage, but again, 90% of the time, this is still just 2 icons. And you spend 3 more resources. You know what happens, though? If you have this committed and what was it called? The skill card we saw earlier today that cared about how many resources you had. If you spend 3 resources, then you lose an icon on that. If both of them are committed. So be careful. Yeah, it's weird to print such a good card that has potentially 2 matching icons in out the door, and then for 3 more XP or even 2 more XP, you get something that just isn't relevant all the time, right? Sure, like canceling tokens should be at a premium, and I don't know, like compare it to analysis or strong arm or something. This is a big price, and it's 3 XP. Those only cost 0 or 1 or 2, I suppose, tabooed. I don't know, like it's overcosted. Then we have some more ways of getting money. This card called Fame is an asset that costs you 1. It's got 3 renown on it. If there aren't any, you discard it. If there's an enemy at your location, spend 1 renown, Parley, gain 2 resources. All right, so You're spending 1 resource and you're getting 8 back. Well, it's like Hot Streak, right? Hot Streak was getting 7 resources, but that was 4 XP, required that you had 3, and was 1 action. This cost you 5 actions to get those 8 resources. You could spend 5 actions taking a basic resource action, and you're not too far behind this. In fact, you just play emergency cash or something else, and then you get there. Sure, this is a parlay, so it does not provoke a tax opportunity. So maybe you want this because you have all those events we saw earlier that nearly all of them, not all of them, but a lot of them cared about an enemy being around. You can spend an action to, while you're engaged with them, take your money so then you can play the event. I feel like the problem there is that the event costs 2 resources and it's fixed by a card that is not good. This is not good. Again, we just saw actionless gain 2. This one you need to spend 2 actions, and a resource already, just to get 4. This probably need to be gain 3 with some other limiter on it, like an exhaust. It's tough. I get that it's tough to balance these sorts of cards, but the math does not work out. There needs to be some other synergy, and we just don't have it. And synergy can't simply be, oh, parlaying with enemies means you don't get attacked. It's not good enough. There are other cards that get you resources, and you can just, I don't know, you can just not play the expensive cards all the time. Maybe at one point, we'll get better economy. I mean, we do have that out the door. And then you can play those events better, but I don't think this one is it. But you need a lot of resources because we have another reprint. It is Well Connected Level 3. This was from Return to the Circle Undone, so probably not everyone who's watching the video even has this. Let me know if you are one of those people who's played the game and missed out on the Return 2s. This is a super good card to pick up just to add to your collection. Now, I've played this a lot. It really requires that you are going all in on big money, and you need to get a lot of money. And when you do, the difference between this and level 0 Well Connected, which was every 5 resources you have, you get +1 skill value. This one's every 4. It's much easier to get to those thresholds, like 12 resources gives you +3. So it's a little bit like Renown, Center Stage, it is, with the spending a Renown for those. But you can use it for Mythos phase, you can use it for the first action. The spend 2 resources to ready it and then do it again, probably hard to do in this environment. Probably hard to have the money for it. But it is very good to have that in your back pocket. We just don't have burst economy. That's just the thing. Very good, though. Very good card. And I wish Fame were a little bit better. How else can we make money? Well, there's this guy. There's this guy. We saw Marcus level 0 when I talked about the smattering of cards we had a few weeks back. And he's just a bit problematic. He's just a bit... You don't want to put your eggs into the basket of, I hope this guy doesn't die. So he costs you 3 resources. You get an additional resource back during the upkeep phase. But if you happen to fail any skill tests, you're going to be dealing 1 horror to him. Maybe you're out here with Carolyn and you're killing the horror off. Maybe cool, I guess. But to take the ally slot from, say, Olivier, from the core set, who's bonkers good, and just costs you 1 more resource at level 0, and will help you do many other things, like get an extra action to move. You could use that extra action to just take a basic resource. Anyway, you can only fail 2 skill tests before he's gone, and to make the money back, it's going to take you many rounds. The 3 resource investment. If we ever get something like motivational speech, then I think this is neat, but tough. Tough to take up that slot because he does not really provide soak because he's dealing horror to himself. He's just, I don't know, right? I mean, I like playing Jenny. I think the additional resource during upkeep is good, but Jenny doesn't cost you 3 resources up front to do anything. She doesn't cost you a card from hand or the ally slot. Like, all of these things are working against Marcus. The math there is, it's not adding up. It's tough. Now, you might playtest him and say, well, you just don't fail. A lot of things in this game are proactive for you. You're deciding when to take skill tests. I haven't seen what the campaigns look like. Very possible that some of the nasty stuff like Frozen in Fear aren't returning. But can you imagine Frozen in Fear where you just get this and you say goodbye after 2 rounds? Not a fan. And then they upgraded him. He costs 2 instead of 3. That's better. And he's got 1 more point of soak. Also better. A little easier to heal the horror off, I think. With, I don't remember if that book, Occult Records, heals off of allies, but potentially it does. So this is better. It's still difficult. And the reason why I say this is because the XP for 2 of these guys, if this is really what you need to sustain your well-connected level 3, or your Black Fan or Red Clock, then I don't know. That seems very tough. And what if it doesn't come out at the beginning of the game, you know? Oh, all right. These are both reprints. We saw and talked about the Red Clock before, and this is probably where your 10 XP goes in this environment every time, because now you can get some fast resources quite a bit. You get the +4 skill value, you move up to 3 times, you get the extra actions. Like, it's a fantastic card. I don't know how you're going to find it, but it is a very, very strong card and solves lots of problems. Kind of feels weird, though. It doesn't really fit into the archetypes that we've seen so far. There's nothing about events here. The Succeed by 2, of course, is there, but it's giving you the actions also itself. So you can take your, you know, I don't know, what is it going to be, like a 5 action or 6 action André Patel turn with your Red Clock, and then, I don't know, you're hitting someone with the cane for 4 actions in a row or something. I'm not sure. It's a very strong card, but I feel like because it came out in Edge of the Earth originally, alongside the Black Fan, by the way, there was a lot of stuff that was built up to make Red Clock really good. I think on its own it's quite good, but small card pool, kind of hard to see where it goes. But the free resources, every turn or every few turns, very useful. I just want to see a burst economy card, not just the out the door giving you 4. It's good, right? But something where you can throw a double into it, you know, which we don't have either. Okay. Black Fan is also a reprint, and I'm surprised to see this too, just because getting and sitting at 10, 15, or 20 resources seems harder. Like, I think there's a lot of economy here. I'm not sure it's all good, but they're trying. It's just there needs to be something that's a bit easier, like you're pickpocketing. Okay, there's sticky fingers. There is sticky fingers, but you only get 1 of them in play. Maybe these are actually fine. Maybe you can pull off the Black Fan. But man, Rogue took a while to have a good direction. And there's too many of these cards that are kind of unplayable. Kind of. I mean, you might be spending your XP on Silver Tongue and just spending your resources that way. That's a thing you can do. This one's starting. And someone told me, I think, that there's no parlays in Rogue. I think that's true. No parlay skill test, of course. Pay your dues over there is a parlay, but is not a skill test. That's interesting. So Seeker had it. Trish can still use this. Yeah, I mean, I think the card is good, but not super exciting. Okay. Pay your dues, though. This is a parlay where you spend any number of resources you want. Well, not really. You have to choose the non-elite enemy at your location with that has the remaining health that you're willing to pay, and then that enemy disengages, gains aloof till the end of the round. You get a clue. I think that's really neat. I like this card. There's a troublesome enemy there. You spend your 2 or 3 resources, it disengages, you get a clue, you leave. It's until the end of the round, so it'll hunt after you potentially, or not, and then you can deal with it next round. It's a Tesla's clue for 2 or 3, and potentially you're dealing with an enemy. Doesn't have to be engaged with you. I love these parlay cards. They're really interesting for that reason. I think it's pretty fairly priced. Seems good. It's a favor. It doesn't really do anything else, but it feels like once again we're spending money on the events themselves. Another enemy thing, the Grapevine. We saw this one before. This one lets you move basically up to 2 locations or 3 locations with the level 2 version. Draw a card. I don't really know why this exists in this set. I mean, yes, there's things to do with enemies. We just talked about that. But how many times do you need to do that? Like, why am I all the way across the map and then have to go 3 locations away? There's no synergy for that. There needs to be a fox mask in here. That why don't we have the fox mask or something like it? That is the part that is a bit befuddling. You can't just have these cards that do something that I'm sure we've all seen a scenario where you say, yeah, I wish I could move 3 locations for an action, but you also spent 2 XP, 2 resources in action to begin with. You're getting a card back for level 2. That I think is legit good, but these games become much more interesting when it synergizes with something else in the card pool, some other part of the archetype, which does exist in Chapter 1. It really does. But here, I don't know. These, or maybe something else, should be emergency cash. Some other simpler economy card. I don't know. I think that's the whole deck. Feels like we're missing something. Feels like we're missing the Chuck Fergus card, right? Like, why am I doing all these event things? What's the synergy there? And yeah, I mean, outside of like Fame and Marcus, I think being not good, although maybe you need to run Marcus level 2, maybe Charisma, Olivier, I don't know. Like maybe you have to make those big money cards work. I'm pulling my hair out a little bit on how good those payoff cards are. Well connected, Black Fan. Black Fan though, I will say like I've played it. I think it's fun. It's interesting, but it's nowhere near as good as Bright Clock. Like it's night and day. Anyway, those cards really require a huge chunk of good economy. Even with Jenny, who had Marcus basically stapled to her, I needed to do a lot of work just to get the well-connected level 3 and the red clock going. And once I did, it's great. I'm not sure that the card pool is supporting that right here. And then all those events I'm just not interested in. It's a little disappointing. I feel like there's not hugely exciting cards here. Like some of those payoff ones are reprints, and the other ones are just kind of meh. But I also don't think that the card pool supports much of what André is trying to do. Like where is with this deck, and very easily like we could have had other succeed by 2 things, right? You could put all of those weapons. Like where's the weapons? There's just the cane, the polished cane. There's no other guns. Like I expected an upgraded hammerless or something. Succeed by 2 in Winifred got you the events back to hand, which was really cool. These, you do your 1 damage or 2 damage or something, and then it's gone. I'm not sure. I don't like these too much. I won't yap too much more. I already have. Thank you for listening and watching, as always. I will say I'm recording this during Mystic Week, and the Mystic cards are quite good. They seem really fun and interesting in ways that I would say the Seeker and Rogue card pools are uninspiring, or not, haven't really inspired me to want to build a deck or play the Investigator. Although André, I think you can just play with anything, and he should be okay. But it's kind of not so great to have some of those reprints be the good ones and the new cards being not quite there for me. But you know what? I haven't played them. And maybe when I play them, I'll find that Marcus in play gives you extra resources every round and you never fail. That might be the case. It very well might be. Okay. I'll see you next week or later this week to talk about the Marie Lambeau cards, the Mystic class, which, by the way, seem really cool.